Chris Graham here for Trailblazer RV. Today we're going to take you through a new RV orientation on a 2020 Coachmen Northern Spirit 2659 BH. Let's start right here in the front of the trailer, where you've got your propane and battery systems. To access your propane bottles, you can open this access door right on the top just to access the valves, or you can remove the whole cover to access the bottles themselves. You've got dual 20-pound propane tanks. Both of these are full right now, and an automatic switchover propane regulator. You can see right now the sight glass on this regulator shows red. That shows that there's no propane flowing from the supply bottle. As I open the valve on that supply bottle, the sight glass turns from red to green, showing that there's propane flowing. What we recommend is that you open the valve on both bottles. When you open a propane bottle, always open the valve slowly and all the way. As long as both bottles are open, the regulator will draw propane off the supply bottle until it's completely empty. Then it will automatically start to pull propane from the reserve bottle. When that happens, the sight glass will turn red again. You can switch the regulator over to the second bottle, remove the first bottle to go and refill or exchange it without ever shutting down your propane system. Behind your propane bottles are your batteries. This RV had a battery upgrade to dual 6-volt batteries over the standard single 12-volt. With dual 6-volt batteries, they're wired a little differently than a 12-volt battery. You have your positive lead coming from the RV going to the positive terminal of one battery, your negative lead from the RV going to the negative terminal of the other battery, and the batteries are jumped negative to positive between the two. This is wiring batteries in series to produce 12 volts out of two 6 volts. This one also has an optional solar charging system installed on it. The red wire with the inline fuse to the positive on one battery, and the green wire to the negative on the other battery. With flooded wet cell deep cycle batteries, there is some maintenance required on these. There's 3 caps on the top of each battery, and we recommend once or twice through the year removing these caps and checking the fluid level in each of those 3 cells. If you can see that the fluid level is a little bit low in any of the cells, particularly if you can see metal plates sticking through the fluid, you'll want to top up that liquid with some distilled water and put a good charge on the batteries. We also recommend, even with the solar panel, removing the batteries for winter storage. Take the batteries off the trailer, store them inside somewhere where they're not going to freeze, and ideally, if you can, put a charge on the batteries once over the off season. At your power front jack, there's a on-off switch. This is not for the jack itself, but rather the light on the jack. And extend and retract, a simple operation there. The jack can be manually cranked if it ever needs to by popping this rubber cap out of here and cranking it with the included jack handle. Around the side of the trailer is your pass-through front storage compartment. There's a couple of items that are stored in here. One is your 30 amp power cord. So it's a 30 amp power cord, and many of the RV sites that you stay at will have 30 amp power. We also supply the park adapter that fits onto there to break it down to 15 amp regular household style power. And you've got a coiled up water hose here. This works with your high pressure sprayer at the back of the trailer. I'll show you where that is when we get to it. There's stabilizing jacks on all 4 corners of the trailer. When you get to the campsite, have the trailer set up in place and relatively level. You crank the stabilizing jacks down to be snug with the ground, but don't actually lift the trailer with them. They're not designed to absorb that kind of weight, just to take some of the weight off of the suspension, to take some of the movement out of the trailer. Right behind the storage compartment is your freshwater fill. So you can fill this with a normal garden hose. What we recommend is one of those white drinking water specific hoses so that you don't get the plasticky taste in your water. And this just gravity fills right into the freshwater holding tank. Right beneath that, you'll find a large dump valve here. This is to dump your freshwater holding tank. So just pull this white valve to dump the contents of the freshwater holding tank. Here's your hot water tank. This is a gas electric DSI hot water tank, so it can run on electricity or propane, but there's no pilot lights or anything to worry about. To drain this tank in the winter, when you put away the RV for the season, there's a little plastic plug at the bottom of the tank. Some hot water tanks have an anode rod that is on the end of that plug. This style of tank doesn't require one. The lining doesn't need the sacrificial anode. So the plug is just a simple plastic plug to dump the tank. Before you pull that plug, make sure to release the pressure from the tank using the pressure relief valve, just so that you don't get a shower when you pull that plug out. Below that is your galley tank drain. And so this trailer has two gray water holding tanks. It has a separate gray water holding tank for the bathroom and for the kitchen. This is for your kitchen, so you get double the gray water capacity, basically. When you go to dump this valve, you can use your same sewer hose that we supply. It's a 20-foot medium heavy-duty sewer hose, and it's stored right now in the rear bumper. And this small gray valve here to dump the galley holding tank. Right here is a vent for your fridge. This can be removed for access to the back of the fridge for repair or maintenance or cleaning. Not much reason ever to access that, though. It's mostly just for a vent for air circulation. Your running gear, your tires are inflated to 65 PSI. It's stamped right on the side of the tire, has 65 PSI cold, and we do recommend running it right at 65 PSI. Your lug nuts are torqued to 100 foot-pounds. We also recommend periodic retorquing of your lug nuts, and your axles have easy lube axles. So with a flathead screwdriver, you can pop this center cap off the center of the wheel to expose a grease circuit. You can grease your inner and outer wheel bearings with a grease gun. Now, the Easy Lube axles don't eliminate the need to repack your wheel bearings, but instead of doing that every year, maybe you do it every 2 or 3 years. Here you've got several connections. Right here is where that 30 amp power cord attaches. You've got your TV cable and satellite hookups here. Your freshwater connection. So with the same hose that you would use to fill your freshwater tank, you can hook up to pressurized city water if you're at a site with water hookups. If you're going to do that, we recommend a water pressure regulator. It's just a little brass piece about that big, fits on the end of your hose to maintain proper operating pressure in the system. And right below that is your high pressure sprayer. This is where you'll attach that blue coiled spray hose to spray water. Don't confuse this hose connection with this hose connection. That's why they've labeled it in orange. This one is your freshwater fill. This one is your sewer tank flush. So when you're dumping your sewer holding tank, hook a hose up to here, preferably a different hose than what you use for your freshwater system. And as long as you've got your black holding tank valve open, you can turn that hose on to spray out the inside lining of the tank. So it'll clean off the walls of the tank and the probes, helping your monitor panel continue to read accurately. You'll find your sewer dumping right here. So again, sewer hose is stored inside the rear bumper. When you go to dump your holding tanks, hook the sewer hose up to here. You've got two valves, a larger black valve and a smaller gray valve. Always dump the black valve first. Once the contents of the black holding tank have finished dumping, you can close that valve and dump the gray valve. This will use your sink and shower water from your bathroom holding tank to flush the contents of the sewer hose so that there's no sewage left in it when you remove the hose. A little dog tie down there at the back of the trailer. Good spot to tie up the pup when you're washing him with the washing station. At the back of the trailer, you've got your rear view camera. The trailer comes with a wireless monitor screen that can be used inside your tow vehicle. I'll show you that when we get there. Here around the camping side of the trailer is your outside kitchen with the stove top. That pulls out and locks in place. Important when you go to put this stovetop back away, look underneath to find the wedge. This needs to be lifted up to slide the stovetop back. Your propane connection for the stovetop is right there, and it will attach to the quick connect right here. Once that's attached, there is a valve on the quick connect that needs to be turned forward to open the flow of propane. Also equipped with a bottle opener, hot and cold fresh water, and 110 volt electric fridge. Right here is your furnace exhaust. The only thing to be aware of here is this gets very hot, so make sure that if there's young kids around the trailer, they know not to get near that. Your entry door step folds up into the door frame of the trailer. To release that, just pull the handle and fold it down. These legs are adjustable in height. If you're in a particularly unlevel campsite, you can adjust those. And your awning is controlled from right inside the door. So right here at the control panel, there's a switch for the awning extend and retract. If I press and hold extend, the awning extends 8 feet. We may not have room right here to extend it all the way, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to extend the awning the full 8 feet. You can stop it at any position. This is also a height adjustable power awning. So by loosening off this tension knob here, you can tip one corner of the awning down. You can adjust both sides of the awning, but we recommend leaving one side lower than the other so that you can control where your rainwater drains off. Before you retract the awning, put both sides back to full height. That way your awning canvas will wind up evenly on the roller tube. And to retract the awning, exactly the same thing. Just press and hold the retract button until the awning has completely retracted. Just inside the trailer here is a couple of other things that are worth mention. Several switches for lights here. Your main living area lights, as well as your outside awning light. And now that awning is all the way retracted. Next to the awning switch is the slide out switch. So simple in and out operation. If we press and hold the out button, the slide goes out. You can see that the slide drives from the bottom, so it kind of sunk down as it started out, and as it reaches its full extension, it'll sink down again to give a smooth transition from the floor to the floor of the slide out. And when you hear that ratcheting sound, that means the awning's fully extended, and you can take your finger off the button, but it doesn't harm anything once you hear that ratcheting sound. That's just how you're alerted that the awning's fully extended. Awning, the slide out, is fully extended. Here you've got a few switches for your water pump and water heater. So you can run the water heater on electricity if you're staying at a site that's got power hookups, or you can run the water heater on propane. So if you press the gas switch, that will start up the direct spark ignition burner on the water heater. Your water pump is also controlled from here. So you turn that on to activate the water pump when you're not hooked into city water pressure and pumping water from the holding tank. Right above that is your monitor panel. So you can see that your battery right now is completely charged. Your fresh tank is completely empty. Black, gray 1, and gray 2 holding tanks are also completely empty. Remember that you have 2 gray holding tanks in this trailer. Gray 1, your bathroom holding tank. Gray 2, your kitchen holding tank. So if you come with me into the kitchen area, here you've got your gas stove top. So it's a 3-burner gas stove top with a piezo sparker, and that works for all 3 burners. What I recommend that you do every time you refill a propane bottle or change a propane bottle, first thing you should do is come here to the stove, open up your 3 gas burners, and light each of those gas burners. And the reason for that is it's the most effective way to bleed air off of the propane system. Once you've got a flame from all 3 of these burners, then you've bled the air off the propane system, and you'll have no trouble starting your fridge, hot water tank, and furnace, which use much less propane. The only pilot light that you have to worry about in the trailer is here in the oven. So to light the pilot light, turn the burner over to the flame logo there, press in on the knob, and right underneath here is where you're going to light the pilot. Once you see a flame there, continue to hold the knob in for 10 or 15 seconds for the flame sensor to heat up. Then you can turn the oven up to temperature. Once you're finished using the oven, you can turn it back down to the pilot setting, or you can turn it all the way off and just relight it next time you need to use it. There's also a switch there for your blue backlit stove burners and your oven light. Here at the fridge, it's a Dometic automatic temperature control fridge. It runs on gas or electricity, and what we recommend is turning it on to the automatic setting. When it's on automatic, if it has electricity available, it will always run on electricity. But if you blow a breaker or the trailer gets unplugged without your knowing, it'll sense that and it'll automatically switch over to propane. You can override the automatic to only run on propane. Only a few situations where you might want to do that. If you're worried about blowing a breaker, you can conserve electricity by running the fridge on propane. And you might also find that it cools a little bit faster on propane than it does on electricity. Having said that, it still takes an RV fridge several hours to cool down, so we recommend starting the fridge up the day before you pack up. That way it's nice and cold by the time you load your food into it. For now, I'll just shut that off. Over here is where you'll find the remote panel for your solar charging system. So here you can see a few things. You can see that your battery is at 71% right now at 12.6 volts. And we're not actually getting any charging from our solar panels right now because we're in the building, because we're inside under the roof. But if we were outside in the sun, you would see the amperage that your batteries are charging at there as well. Here you got your entertainment center. So the stereo system runs on 12-volt power. It's AM, FM, CD, DVD, Bluetooth, and auxiliary. Also has a USB input, and you can run this right off of your battery. The TV, though, is 110-volt power only, so you'll need to be plugged into power or running a generator to have your TV running. You also have the wireless charging there for your small electronics. This works off of 12-volt power as well, so you can charge modern smartphones wirelessly right off of your RV's battery and solar panel system. Right here is your thermostat. So this controls both the heating and cooling for the RV. And if we turn it on to furnace mode and then turn it up to 90 degrees, there we go. We hear that furnace fan kick in. When the furnace starts up, that fan's going to run for 15 or 20 seconds before the furnace burner actually lights up. And if we wait just a second, we should hear that. There we go. I'm not sure if you could hear it in the video, but that click was the direct spark burner lighting up. So in a few minutes or a few seconds, we would have warm air blowing through our vents. When we shut this off, or when it comes to temperature, exactly the same thing happens, only in reverse. The furnace burner goes out immediately, but the fan's still going to run for another 30 seconds, up to a minute, just to go through its cycle. You also control your air conditioning from here. We're not currently plugged into 110-volt power, so we won't be able to get the air conditioner to kick on. You do need to be plugged into power or running a generator for your air conditioner to work. Right behind me is the power converter. This is the power center for the entire RV. So you can see that all of your 110-volt circuits are protected by breakers, and all of your 12-volt circuits by fuses. And we will replace one fuse here before we deliver this trailer. And you can see you've got a variety of fuses here, mostly 15s, but also a 5, a 10, and a couple of 40 amp fuses. Not uncommon in an RV to blow a fuse, so we recommend having just a variety pack of fuses with you as well, just in case you have to change a fuse at the campground. The other thing with this power converter, it does make a little bit of a humming or a buzzing sound sometimes when it's operating under heavy load. It's nothing to be concerned about. It's just the cooling system for the converter when it's operating under load. Here in the bathroom, you can see the floor level lighting. That's on a motion sensor, so that turned on as soon as I walked into the bathroom. You've got a switch here on the wall for the lights in the bathroom. And this power outlet here is of note because this is your GFI power outlet. Just like the outlets in the bathroom in your home with a test and reset button. The only difference in an RV is this is wired into the RV's entire 110-volt outlet system. So if you're plugged into power and you're noticing that you're not getting any power from your power outlets, come into the bathroom, press the reset button, everything should go back to normal. Anytime you're using your RV's sewer system, you'll want to use a good, potent RV toilet chemical. And the chemical comes in powder, tablet, or liquid form. We sell all three. And every time you go to put a new charge of chemical into the toilet, put a package of chemical down into the toilet, press halfway down on the foot flush to fill the bowl with water, and then dump the whole works into the tank. It's important to note that that toilet chemical needs some water to activate it, so make sure every time you put new toilet chemical in, you also put some water down with it. You'll want to put new toilet chemical in immediately following every time you dump your black holding tank. So when you finish dumping the holding tank, come in here, put some new toilet chemical in, and it should be good until the next time you have to dump your holding tank. In the bedroom, find another floor-mounted light down there at the bottom, and a couple of roof lights. The default position for the max bed storage is up. So normally through the day, you can leave your bed up and you'll have access to all of the storage underneath the bed. There's also both 110 volt power outlets and 12 volt USBs for charging on both sides of the bed. The 110 volt power outlets, obviously you need to be plugged into power to operate. The USB chargers though will operate off of your battery and solar charging system. Secondary TV location here in the bedroom as well. So coax for your TV antenna, and you'll find the TV backer for the wall here by the sticker. Still recommend using a stud finder there to locate exactly where the TV backer is, because sometimes the sticker can be off by an inch or so. And I think for the most part that covers it. I hope you've learned something about the 2020 Northern Spirit 2659BH. If you ever have any questions, you can always get a hold of us here at Trailblazer or visit our website, trailblazerrv.com. Thanks.